News.
The Super Bowl committee here in Arizona is gearing up for the event, and they're doing it with a 7,000-pound football. And it's nearly 20 years in the making. A new Washington memorial is honoring our disabled veterans surviving and lost. And there may be more artifacts to find, but some are saying they should be left buried. We're showing you how these findings could provide clues to the Native American past.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Megan Thompson. Thanks for joining us tonight. Now, we are 83 days away from the kickoff to Super Bowl 49 here in Arizona. And the Super Bowl host committee is in the process of making downtown Phoenix the center of all of the action. Reporter Colton Korlak shows us the newest step in that process.
Many walking the streets of downtown today will see something out of the ordinary.
Really one of a kind. Nothing like this has been done before.
A 20-foot tall, 7,000-pound football statue was unveiled today. It's proudly sitting at the corner of Central and Washington, where it will begin its wait for February 1st.
And we're putting it here so that folks will come down and take their picture, social media, send it around the world, and it's basically a commercial and a postcard from downtown Phoenix.
Others who gathered to watch the unveiling have bigger hopes for the big game.
Well, my hopes are high, so like I always tell my friend that we're going to go make history this year. You know, first team hold a Super Bowl in town, and it's going to be a Cardinal. So
even with the recent success of several Valley teams, the focus today is on the Super Bowl, regardless of the cities playing in it.
But we also want to be a sports mecca, not just with our teams, but also to be a city that can host these events and provide the very best event.
And continuing a newfound reputation for being a valley for sports.
We know that the experience they have will be second to none, and will continue to get a reputation as a sports mecca, not just for what happens on the field, but our ability to host the very best sporting events in the world.
And with 12 blocks of concerts, parties, and now a one-of-a-kind statue, that might be a possibility. In Phoenix, Colton Korlak, Cronkite News.
And with the big game on the horizon, the Arizona Cardinals are already dreaming of an NFC championship. After Sunday's win over the St. Louis Rams, the Cardinals are now 8-1. That's for the first time since 1948, when they were the Chicago Cardinals. But yesterday's win came at a price. Starting quarterback Carson was carted off the field in the fourth quarter with a season-ending ACL injury. But after backup Drew Stanton's late performance, Palmer said the team isn't going to slow down.
This organization is striving to win, and they're going to do what's best for the organization, and that's exactly what they should do. And I'm just going to grind it out and do what I can to be a part of that next year.
While Palmer's injury poses a threat to the Cardinals season, head coach Bruce Arians said Sunday, quote, "We can win the Super Bowl with Drew Stanton." And coming up, we have a look at college football from our Los Angeles bureau. Now, even though Election Day was nearly a week ago, some races are just now calling the winners. Republican Diane Douglas won the election for the state superintendent of public instruction. Douglas ran against Democrat David Garcia with a platform focused on her opposing Common Core standards. Another race, though, has yet to be called. Tucson's Congressional District 2 race between Republican Martha McSally and Democrat Ron Barber is still having provisional ballots counted, even after McSally's lawyers tried to block those from Pima County missing an election worker's signature. At last check, McSally was ahead of Barber by only a few hundred votes. And the debate over one proposition continues. Opponents of Proposition 100 are now urging the Supreme Court to let the overturned ruling take effect. Proposition 100, which denies bail to felony suspects who are in the country illegally, was ruled to be unconstitutional last month based on the 14th Amendment's due process clause. Well, tomorrow is Veterans Day, a time when the nation pauses to honor all veterans, living and dead. It's done this for almost a century, but as our Cronkite News reporter Stephen Hicks tells us, until this Veterans Day, there was no memorial to honor those veterans who returned injured. He joins us live now from our Washington bureau with more. Stephen?
Thanks, Megan. Washington is full of memorials to specific wars or branches of the military: Vietnam, Korea, World War II, just to name a few. But this newest memorial is to honor those veterans who are disabled, and has been a long time coming.
After nearly 20 years of bureaucratic red tape, there is finally a memorial in Washington to honor disabled veterans. Nearly 90,000 service-related disabled veterans currently live in Arizona, and should any of them make the trip here, they'll see a quiet reflecting pool, a wall of gratitude, and they may even see Park Ranger James Pierce.
This has special meaning to me because I am a disabled veteran.
Pierce lost one of his legs as a result of a suicide bomber during his time serving the Army in Afghanistan. Now, walking on his replacement brace, he works as a volunteer coordinator for the memorial and is also tasked with keeping it clean.
The program that I'm coming on with is called Operation Guardian.
He's still a staff sergeant in the Army and has been on special reassignment since last July.
I basically just switched uniforms. I'm still giving back to my country. I'm still giving back to society in my own way.
Although he can never forget the scars he got during his time serving in this country, he said being stationed at this memorial, this particular memorial for disabled veterans, provides him with a unique opportunity.
I would like to take ownership of it. It's not just me. There's also many people like me out there that's lived far longer than I have that's dealt with disabilities.
Of the 18 quotes that surround the memorial, Pierce's statements seem to echo one in particular. It's not what you've lost that counts. It's what you do with what's left.
A raucous atmosphere will take place on the National Mall tomorrow. An expected 800,000 people will attend the Concert for Valor, saluting America's veterans. But for those looking for a more quiet moment of reflection, this memorial is just a short distance from the mall. Live in our nation's capital, Stephen Hicks, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Stephen. And this year marks 100 years since the outbreak of World War I. And tomorrow on Veterans Day, we will honor those who served our country. But one school decided to start a little early. Reporter Mackenzie Scott tells us about the special way they celebrated.
Cannon fire is often a symbol of battle and even victory. But for the Higley Unified School District, it was the sound chosen to signal the start of the ceremony to honor those who served their country.
Thank you for what you do every year for us.
Retired Lieutenant Colonel Margaret DeSanti was first deployed during the Vietnam War and served in the United States Army Nurse Corps for 30 years. She likes to remind students every year about the sacrifices that were made.
I've made it my quest to show the children freedom isn't free, and freedom is being paid for by all the men that I've served. I had the honor and privilege of serving the heroes.
It was a time for students to listen to the troops' experiences to help understand the true meaning of bravery and sacrifice.
Hearing some of their stories really kind of put a solemn moment and just took the time to realize that there's so much that people go through just for us, and these people will never probably know us, and the only thing we can do is just take the time to thank them.
DeSanti comes to this event every year, but it's not just the students who benefit from her presence.
I was in the hospital recovering from a stroke, and I get a phone call from the superintendent and asked me to speak this year, and I was like, it did a lot for me, for my getting better.
Be it finding strength to speak or courage in battle, these retired military shared a piece of themselves with the Higley students and shared the meaning of Veterans Day. In Gilbert, Mackenzie Scott, Cronkite News.
Students involved in the ROTC program from other Arizona high schools were also part of the ceremony. Now let's pass it off to Tweelon Nugent with a look at what's to come on Cronkite News.
More fossils are being discovered in a national park, but some people say they should be left alone. We take you to the national park where sites may soon be excavated. They already help make your commute less stressful, and soon you could be seeing even more of these signs appear on our freeways. We tell you when you can expect to find these changes.
Cronkite News brings you access across Arizona.
Archaeologists are looking for answers in Arizona's Petrified Forest National Park, where discoveries have revealed ancient Native American villages. But not everyone thinks these remains should be excavated. A team of Cronkite News reporters traveled to Apache County to see these new discoveries firsthand as part of our Access Across Arizona series. Reporter Sydney Schumann joins us from the Petrified Forest National Park with the story.
I'm here at the Petrified Forest National Park where it's really windy, and I recently spoke with archaeologists who have uncovered evidence of life from 13 to 1800 years ago. Despite excitement about the discovery, some within the Native American community are concerned about possible disruptions to their ancestors. In the summer of 2013, archaeologists at the Petrified Forest National Park found fossils from an ancient Native American village, and now, a year later, they have done it again.
Most people come here to the park to see the geology and to see the petrified wood, but I really hope that the archaeology of Petrified Forest is going to become more of a major attraction.
To the untrained eye, this may seem like a pile of dirt and rocks, but in reality, it was someone's home. Archaeologists of the Petrified National Forest have found evidence of Native American villages, including ceramics such as this. Now, this represents some of the earliest pottery ever created in the Colorado Plateau.
You can actually see these basically chisel marks where someone has come through with another stone to shape the outside edge of this, and then on the inside again ground it smooth for some kind of either grinding or food storage purposes.
While ASU professor James Ridingen appreciates the discovery's significance, he doesn't believe that digging up the villages is in the best interest of Native Americans today or of years past.
What are the ethics and morality involved with the scientific studies of these sites?
Though Rightsey believes studying these sites will give insight into the lives of the people who lived here, Ridingen believes archaeologists are more interested in furthering their careers than protecting the integrity of the villages and remains. These remains were originally found by field survey crews who walked the terrain looking for things that seemed out of place.
What archaeologists are going to do out here on the landscape is look for differences, things that we don't expect. If we start to concentrate and focus on that, we'll start to see these smaller pieces of pottery and spear points and things like that.
From these small artifacts, archaeologists are able to paint a wider picture.
It's always a challenge to try to be able to tie all those puzzle pieces together to get a story of how people used and lived in this landscape.
But Ridingen believes some mysteries are better left unsolved.
Is it possible to uncover all the mysteries pertaining to Indian peoples? Should they be? And who benefits from that? Do Indian people benefit from that? I don't think so.
Excavation will begin within the coming months, but Ridingen hopes that archaeologists will contact Native American researchers and find a compromise between preservation and investigation. In Apache County, Sydney Schumann, Cronkite News.
Petrified Forest archaeologist Iva Lee Lemkule has worked at the site since its first discovery. She joins us now to answer a few more questions about the villages. Iva Lee, do you anticipate more findings like this one?
Yeah, we definitely hope to document more sites like this one, some of the earliest villages on the Colorado Plateau, as well as more earlier and later sites.
And when does your team plan to begin excavation of the two sites that you've found so far?
We're hoping to recommence investigations this upcoming spring. Those might include test excavations aimed at uncovering some more evidence for how people were living in these early basket maker villages.
Iva, thank you so much for joining us at the Petrified National Forest. Michael Gordon, Cronkite News.
Coming up on Cronkite News, the city of Phoenix is making sure these signs get noticed. Keep an extra eye out for extra freeway signs to keep your commute on time.
Reaching Arizona's communities uncovered by mainstream media. Discovering the untold stories of our state's women, men, children, and change makers.
We're taking a look at what's making news across Arizona.
This is the Cronkite News Initiative, Access Across Arizona. Live coverage of topics that matter and people who make a difference. Delivered to the homes of Arizona PBS viewers like you. Access Across Arizona is made possible by Women and Philanthropy.
The more you know about history, the more you know about yourself. Let's turn the page.
I believe that this nation should commit itself.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
You
can almost divide American history before Robinson and after Robinson.
Seeing is believing.
We broke records. We broke barriers.
This is incredible.
Suddenly the big picture makes more sense.
We have unprecedented access.
Now I can see my ancestors. Now I'm looking into their world. Now I can see where they walked.
Traffic. We've all experienced it and we all have to go through it. But what if there was a way to detour around traffic so you make it to your destination faster? Jacqueline Polito reports on a new ADOT project that could help you do just that.
Every morning, you may experience traffic like this. But now, there are ways to make your morning commute a little less chaotic. The Arizona Department of Transportation has just announced plans to display commute times on more freeways.
ADOT is adding to the number of commute time displays in the Metro Phoenix area. By the end of this year, we'll have 76 message boards showing the commute times during the rush hour, both in the morning and the afternoon.
Currently, there are 65 signs that display the information. Since the program was first introduced in 2008, many drivers have been able to benefit from these message boards.
Supremely helpful. I use them all the time to make sure that I can get to and from work without being too terribly late.
Ashley Holian says that the boards not only help her get to work on time, but give her safety updates while she's driving.
It helps knowing if there's an accident, I can side road.
Although drivers use the message boards to see how long it will take them to get to work, it can also benefit them in other ways.
24 hours a day, they can have various messages, such as information about a crash ahead. We can tell drivers if there's a lane blocked. We can suggest that they merge right or left, advise drivers of closures even, adverse weather conditions such as blowing dust.
Those conditions can be seen in the Traffic Operations Center, which monitors traffic flow for more than 6,000 miles of roads across the state.
The commute times are updated every minute during the rush hour. We've got sensors all along the freeway that detect traffic speeds. That gets fed into a computer and that crunches the numbers, automatically updates those signs every minute during the rush hour.
Those signs help drivers avoid crashes and helps keep traffic moving for everyone on the roads. In Phoenix, Jacqueline Pulido, Cronkite News.
Now, another thing that ADOT suggests to do before you get on the road, look at their Twitter account. There you can also find current news and info that can possibly delay your travel time. Now here's Tana Hughes with a check of our weather. Tana?
Let's head over to our weather station and take a look of what's in store for this upcoming week. Looking at our national radar map, we see a lot of the movement in the upper Midwest. This is called the Winter Storm Astro. It brought heavy snow, gusty wind, and low temperatures to the region. Winter storm warnings are being widely issued by the National Weather Service in this area. Now let's take a look at how some of these temperatures have shifted. 17 in Billings, 18 in Denver, and 22 in Fargo. Very cool temperatures along this region. Now let's head down into our current temperatures in the state. It's going to be 64 in the Grand Canyon, 60 degrees in Flagstaff, 83 in Tucson, and 84 in Phoenix. Now we'll look at what we can expect for this week. Each November, we stop and take a moment to honor America's veterans on Veterans Day. Some events around the valley tomorrow include the East Valley, Tempe, and Mesa Veterans Day parades. And the Phoenix Suns will host a military appreciation night tomorrow in their game against the Brooklyn Nets. Now let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. Clear skies this week with high temperatures in the low 80s and high 70s. Enjoy your week. I'm Tana Hughes, Cronkite Weather.
Thank you for that. Well, a Phoenix woman got more than she expected when she called police concerning a burglary in her home. As Angeli Meehan reports, a Phoenix police officer decided to go above and beyond the call of duty.
On your mark, get set, go.
Yay!
Linda Timms is back home in what seems like a completely new home to her.
I can't believe it. It's like a dream.
The 65-year-old had to temporarily move in with her daughter due to medical issues. While there, her house was burglarized several times, thieves even taking her copper pipes, and previous hoarding left her home uninhabitable.
When I met her, she said she was in dire need. Her house was in disrepair. She had nowhere to live. At that point, I offered my assistance.
Before Officer Glenn Branham became a police officer, he was a construction worker. He used his connections to rally the community.
And we were able to bring in some tile and a bunch of things for the house. And so we're really appreciative to Phoenix PD for allowing us to help.
Together, they helped make this once unlivable house near 43rd Avenue and Thomas Road into Linda's new home sweet home.
We had to get 2 40-yard dumpsters to empty out the trash, the debris, and so on. The rest of the stuff we moved to our storage so we can get it emptied out. We pulled all the carpet out. Had to do a lot of electrical issues, fixed electrical, the whole new kitchen. Everything's brand new in the kitchen. Drywall was redone.
The kitchen, I'm amazed with. The outside, the backyard. Somebody heard me say I wanted to put an apricot tree back there because they were filling in my pool. And I didn't want to put a whole bunch of cement and stuff because I wanted to leave room for an apricot tree. And it's there.
After her trials and tribulations, Linda feels her late husband had something to do with her miracle home makeover.
I think that his spirit is the one that brought Officer Branham to me. I really do. And he would like this. These are all things that we wanted to do to this house.
Angels in Blue. And from her own community. In Phoenix, Angela Meehan, Cronkite News.
Linda's house renovations may be done, but Officer Branham is not. For Thanksgiving, Linda Timms plans to prepare a turkey, homemade yeast rolls, pumpkin and pecan pie in her favorite room of the house, her brand new kitchen. Well, coming up on Cronkite News, Condoleezza Rice is the only woman on the college football playoff committee and one of many who haven't played football. We have a look on how criticism isn't getting in her way.
Don't wait for an invitation. No need for reservation. This life is an exploration, and you gotta see what I see in you. I can't wait 1 minute more. The sun does shine, the sun does shine. We can't wait 1 minute more. The sun does shine, the sun does shine. There's a key that opens the door. Will you find it and turn it? Wait 1 minute more. The sun does shine, the sun does shine.
That's amazing.
You cannot believe what I'm seeing.
Welcome back. Welcome back. No doubt ASU fans are enjoying the fallout from Saturday's big football win. Here, there was simply no luck for the Irish in Tempe, as both teams were highly ranked, but it didn't seem that way, especially after the first half. Let's dive into the last 3 minutes of the first quarter, where the Sun Devils changed up the game after recovering a fumble from Notre Dame quarterback Everett Golson. Shortly after, Taylor Kelly throws to Jalen Strong, who makes an unbelievable one-handed catch in the early end zone. Early in the second quarter, off with another interception from Golson, and the Sun Devils dominate the Irish 24-3. But don't look away too fast, as Taylor Kelly throws a 43-yard touchdown pass to Cameron Smith, giving the Sun Devils a 28-point lead. Today, Coach Graham told reporters how proud he was of Marcus Hardison's performance.
He dominated the game. I mean, matter of fact, I don't do this very often in the game, but during the game, I stopped what I was doing as far as talking about adjustments, and I said, man, you are tearing it up.
No surprise, Oregon remains on top of the Pac-12 North after the Ducks beat Utah in a huge victory. In the South, of course, the Sun Devils are #1 and now hold on to 7th in the AP rankings. The Sun Devils are in the conversation for the new college football playoffs, and those rankings come out tomorrow. As the college football selection committee has started making those decisions, others have been scrutinizing, but not the selections, but the decision makers. Carrie Osep reports why people in the Valley are not happy about it.
People think women need to step on the field before they can have an opinion on the game. But others think women deserve to earn their spot at the table.
Football has historically been a male-dominated sport.
Which is precisely why Condoleezza Rice is receiving backlash for being the only woman on the college football playoff selection committee. Tweets and posts erupted shortly after the announcement.
There's going to be a a huge spotlight and a magnifying glass over her decisions.
Former player and current football coach Amy Arnold is all too familiar with the criticism of being a female on a football field, especially during her first year of coaching.
There was always a huddle of dads that followed the line of scrimmage about 10 feet behind me.
But Coach Arnold didn't let that stop her.
I had a job to do, and I was going to prepare this young team for their first football season.
The former U.S. Secretary of State may be facing some backlash, but for people who know her, they do not see a better fit.
I've known Condoleezza Rice for many years, back when she was the provost at Stanford University, I think is when I first met her. One thing I can tell you is that Connie Rice knows more about football than 9 out of 10 men you will ever come across.
And ASU Athletic Director Ray Anderson insists there may be no better decision maker on the committee.
Who else on that committee has been under more pressure to make important decisions than Condi Rice?
And he believes she has the opportunity to prove that women's opinions do deserve to be heard, even if it's in football. In Phoenix, I'm Carrie Osep, Cronkite News.
And again, we'll get a sense of Condoleezza Rice's opinion tomorrow night when the third college football rankings are released. I'm Stephanie Edwards. Megan, back to you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Well, that's it for Cronkite News tonight.
Thanks for joining us. Good night.